Is there any such hadith that seeing a scholar is the same as seeing the Bani Israel prophets? No, I'm not aware of any such hadith. Usually our people describe that the scholars of this Ummah seem like the prophets of Bani Israel. It is somewhere correct as a golden saying. Scholars are the heirs of the prophets, it's correct. Obviously, the inheritance of the prophets is theology. The scholars will carry it. Now you should ask the scholars of which sect. Ulama-e-Haq means Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim. We can only mention the names of those that we know. So, being like the prophets doesn't mean that their status is like that of the prophets. No. Being like the prophets mean that they have been given the duties like the prophets. What was the duty of the prophets? Allah's dawah. The whole ummah has been told, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. So you should say that, leave aside that scholarly job, because the whole ummah seem like the prophets of Bani Israel. Take something new today. Not only scholars, sir, the whole ummah seem like the prophets of Bani Israel, because in those eras the prophets had been sent to do the job of dawah, and because of the finality of the prophethood, Allah has transferred that job to this ummah. Now no prophet will come anymore. So the whole ummah, it's written in the Quran that the whole ummah should continue doing that job of the prophets. So seem like the prophets means this. We are not talking about the status. Exactly, who can define their status? And just by seeing a scholar isn't worth. My brother, if it really works, then the best is seeing at the prophet's face. There are so many people who saw the Allah's prophet and still they died as a non-believer when he was alive. And some died as a non-believer after his death. We know about Habiba, the sister of Hazrat Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who's our mother, Ummul Mu'mineen, Habiba, salamullahi alayha. Her husband was included in Hijrat-e Habsha, in Sabiqoon al-Awwaloon, who migrated towards Najashi. He went there and became a Christian and even died as a Christian, Ubaidullah. So he died as a Christian. So he was a companion of the Prophet, died in the life of the Prophet. Only seeing doesn't work, but doing does. Those who joined Musailma Kazzab, Munkareen Zakat, who were they? Who during the life of the Prophets were Muslims? It's present in Bukhari Muslim that the tribes of Arab became murtad after the death of the Holy Prophet. That hadith starts with these words. So the one who became murtad after the death of the Prophet, who was he before the death of the Prophet? Sahabi, not a Muslim. Old talks. They defined that the one sees the Prophet, even once is a Sahabi. So the tribes that became murtad after the death of the Prophet, what were they before the death of the Prophet? They said that they became murtad ultimately, so we can't call them Sahabi. Sir, don't do this. Don't do this. We'll call them Sahabi in the era they were Sahabi. Like Abu Sufyan during Khandak was on the side of non-believers. So even if we discuss the Khandak today, we'll say that he had come from the side of non-believers. Yes, after becoming a Muslim, then he got a Muslim status. But after becoming a Muslim, his bad deeds during Khandak still have to be discussed, although he has got forgiveness for that. In today's date, even the mistakes of Hazrat Yusuf's alayhi salam brothers have been forgiven. But we still discuss the brothers of Hazrat Yusuf. Why? For the sake of a lesson. Fine.